Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker and I'm your host. And on this show, we're looking to challenge you. We're looking to help you to work smarter, not harder. We've heard that and we know that and we want that, but somehow we don't follow through with that. That's why these guests are so valuable and so important to help you to get on that road. So today I have Faisal Hoque with us, and I'm excited. He is recognized as one of the world's top management thinkers and technologists. He's an entrepreneur, an innovator, an author with close to 30 years of cross-industry success. He's founder of Hoque, Next Chapter, and other companies. He's also serves as an innovation leader for the CACI $6.7 billion company focused on U.S. national security. And then I could go on and talk about all of the great things and all of the companies that he's worked with and the amazing media that have covered him. But let's get right to chatting. Hey, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much, Penny.
We're here to talk about, we chatted a little bit before about how mindfulness helps us to make better choices in where we spend our time. You've worked with a lot of successful companies. You've built your own successful company. Tell us what that key is for you and how you came to realize that.
When you're earlier in your career, you obviously try to find your path and your calling, your definition of success, et cetera, et cetera. As you grow older, as I have grown older, I'm now in my early 50s, obviously not the same person when I was in my 20s. In 20s, I was this very driven, classic technology entrepreneur. And I would run around all the time and never have enough time and never be able to do the things I really wanted to do. But as time gone by, I've somehow figured out that as you slow down, you actually have more time to do more meaningful work. And it comes with experience, but it also comes from life's adversity that throws at your face at various junctures. It could be that you had a career setback, could be that you have a ill parent, a sick child, whatever the case may be. It allows you to rethink. In my case, I originally come from Bangladesh, so I have a very deep ties to Eastern philosophy. And I've always had I read all the Eastern philosophical work. And in my 40s, I started to get really into this notion of mindfulness. And, there's a lot of different definition of mindfulness, but in a most practical way of looking at mindfulness is that conscious pause to decide what you want to do and what you want to work on and what really the interaction you want to have and what is meaningful, right? And when you approach life from that angle, you actually can decide what are the things that you want to do and what's the most important things you want to do and how does that makes an impact for you and the people that you are trying to work with or serve. Essentially, that gives you more time because you detach from the noise that makes us quote unquote busy all the time. I'm going to stop so that we can have a conversation.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to unpack. Now, people who are listening, they know that I talk about this conscious pause. In my new book, I call it a reset moment, to name it so that we can actually use it more effectively. I want to go back to something you said when you were younger, we're all over the place, that typical ambition. I wonder if you think, is it age that gets us caught up in that stage of life and that ambition? Or is it kind of, are we I don't like this word, but it's what comes up for me. But or we poisoned by the hustle culture for us to be sucked into that. It's about having more and doing more and being more without really being as intentional and, like you said, slowing down. Like, is it age or is it the culture that we're caught up in?
I think it's a little bit of both. I started my career when there was no existence of internet, right? So I'm really dating myself. And then hustle culture was not as pronounced, but there was that hustle culture. And then as the internet boomed and we went through several cycles of it, we've seen various iteration of it. And obviously pandemic created a whole different work culture in recent year. But I don't think it's just culture, hustle culture. What also happens is as you grow older, you know more and you have more techniques and you know more people and you know what you like and what you don't like, right? It allows you to channel and focus the things you want to do and the speed and the efficiency that you gain from having that whereabouts. For example, when I wrote my first book, which was in 1999, which I published with Cambridge University Press, it took me almost like 2 years, just to, and it was, I was an okay writer. And in 2004, I'm now about to release my next book. And this would be my ninth book. It literally taken me like 4.5 months or 5 months. So it came with the experience of knowing how to craft it, where to get the research, the writing style, all that is how to tap into other people, all that, I think it comes with experience. I think you get focused, what's important, right? When you know what needs to be done, it's easy to manage your time. Versus when you don't know, it's like that think several times before cut your cloth, is that thinking actually reduces the time.
Yeah. And we need to do that younger. I agree. I feel like older and wiser, and maybe because of that, I'm slowing down. I think the new generation, right? Gen Z, they want more lifestyle. They're slowing down. They're being more purposeful. I think we don't have to wait. And if you had to give some advice to younger people in how they can better manage their time and stay focused on what matters most, what advice would you give your younger self, or would you give young people today as to how they can gain that experience earlier?
Look, I have a 21-year-old son. I will tell you what I tell him and what I tell myself. Don't be in such a rush. It seems like you never have time, but don't be in such a rush. That's one. Second is do the deep work. Deep work requires focused work, but deep work has a huge impact. How good do you get at certain things, right? And deep work doesn't come naturally, right? So, for example, we were talking about writing because, we're both authors, so you know this process. You cannot be always inspired and word just flows out of you, right? You have to force yourself, right? Having the discipline to force yourself to do the things that you don't want to do, that actually allows you to find about yourself who you are and what takes how much time, and build that discipline where you are forced to do mundane things that you don't feel like doing it. But as a result, it gets better and better and better. It's a hustle of different kind in the sense that focus on the skill, not necessarily just on the output, right? Because when you're focusing on results and output all the time, this is a counterintuitive thing. It actually slows you down because you're so rushed to reach there. In the midst of your journey, you made like 1,000 mistakes. So you have to go back and fix those mistakes, so your destination is actually backward, not forward.
I really love that. It's true that people, there has to be the right balance, right? Between, yes, we want to know what we're working towards and work towards that output, but really to build those skills, because if you skip through that, you're not building the depth or the experience or the quality that it takes to create quality end result.
And it takes more time.
Mistakes are costly, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it takes more time when you don't really know at a deeper level how things are done. If you have never read an article and you're reading it for the first time, you'll be like, oh my God, how am I going to write it, right? Or if you've never built a product and you're building it first time, you're going to make like 100 mistakes. But by the time you do it third time or fourth time, it will get faster, right? You have to be dedicated up your skill. And as a result, you're going to actually save time and have more time for yourself, going back to your lifestyle, right? I mean, and by the way, there's a reason why they call recreation is important, downtime is important, because it gives you a clarity and a focus when you're well rested and you are in tune with your purpose than when you're not. Because if you're always running around with like a chicken with your head cut out, then you actually accomplish nothing and you never have enough time to do anything.
How do you create time to do that deep work? Like, what's your process for saying no and letting go of things that are less priority? What do you do to make that happen, right? It's one thing to know, to say you do it. It's another thing to be able to make it happen.
Manifest it, sure.
Yes.
Look, I mean, everybody has their own personal style, but everybody has their own body rhythm, right? I mean, some people are more productive in the morning, some people are more productive in the evening, et cetera, et cetera. In my case, I actually have very set routine what I do when during the day. I have certain time that I allocate for meetings. I don't have nonstop meetings all day. I have certain times that I allocated for writing. I have certain time allocated for design. I have certain time for reading and thinking. And I have built in a lot of time during the day and during the week and during the month and the quarter. That's really a downtime. It's a forced downtime. It's not about taking a 2 weeks, 3 weeks vacation. It's actually forced downtime. So you may find it utterly ridiculous if I tell you that I had a busy day, but I somehow managed to take an hour and cook a meal, fed my son and my wife, middle of the day on a Monday, and managed to, have this podcast with you because I do have those break-in that built into it. And I am a busy person. I'm running a couple of ventures. I'm involved with research. I'm writing. I have customers globally, traveling, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a forced pause. Like you said in your book, like your book title, Reset. It's a forced pause that actually buys you more time. Because while I was cooking, it kind of gave me an escape, but it also gave me clarity to focus on my next thing.
Well, isn't that the times like those pauses where we make those connections, right? Some of the most powerful, important connections that we make towards this thing that's going on in one part of our life and this thing that we read just comes up with like this amazing idea or a way to present something or solution for a client or a new product idea, whatever it is, right?
So you asked me, you asked me, what is this manage your consciousness? And I was telling you that it is from one of my book called Everything Connects. Very point you made that it's like that interconnectedness, right? The ability to connect the dots. I mean, this has been my thing for many years because these disconnected thoughts and ideas, when you take, it does connect if you pay attention to it. How you're cooking can actually help you how you write. How you write can actually help you to actually build a software product. And how you talking on a podcast can actually help you. How you're talking to your team in a team meeting, right? So all of these are connected. It's a efficiency gain or personal productivity gain comes from being conscious about these unconnected things and being able to apply that on your daily routine. And I think that's very valuable.
Absolutely. It's being conscious of those connections.
Yeah.
You mentioned a word like disconnected, right? That these disconnected thoughts and it's how we bring them together. I want to talk about in today's when we are busy and we're hustling and we're running from thing to thing and we don't give ourselves that space to slow down and make those connections. I believe that's why we are in our society more and more disconnected. Even though technology potentially has us more connected than ever, we have the greatest level of loneliness and signs of true disconnection, regardless of whether we can text somebody or send a picture or whatever. There's people are feeling disconnected. Where do you see this going from here? Where do you see this going and what types of solutions do you see that are necessary?
I think it's deeply personal. And if I can use this word, spiritual in the sense, I use this word about you have to be not just devoted, but also detached. What I mean by that is that, look, I mean, if you have 100 goals, it's hard to accomplish 100 goals. You have to detach yourself and boil it down to like, maybe you should have only 3 goals. And maybe those goals should be impact driven. If I do this, what is the highest impact can I do, right? And you can boil it down to, okay, this is my 3 major goals for the quarter, 3 major goals for the year, or 3 major goals for the day. I like to think in threes because it's manageable. That's first thing, right? Second thing is, let's take anywhere. We're saying, well, we are so connected, yet we are so disconnected. If you post like 10 posts and you, in the hopes of how much more people can see me, that's not really the goal. Do you want to make meaningful connection? If you want to make a meaningful connection, spend the time to craft what do you want to post, and maybe just post one. And that one post a day is enough. You don't have to be tied to every single reaction and every single response, because you can't have meaningful relationship with thousands of people. You get a meaningful relationship. There's, I think, I forgot who came up with this. You can only have maybe 150 or so meaningful relationship in a given time. If you want to have thousands of meaningful relationships, then all of them become meaningless, right? Same with I want to build a company, but I want to have like 10 different goals. You will not accomplish anything meaningful that actually moves the company forward, right? So you can apply that theory just about anything. Relationship, things you're trying to do, more actually, less is actually more. And being detached from illusion that the more goals I have, the more I will accomplish. It's not true. If you want to do more, then you have to actually focus on less things.
I think it comes down, you talked earlier about deep work. It's depth.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So it's depth of our relationships. It's depth of the impact that we're creating. And we are so surface level, right? And if you're going to have 1,000 goals and 1,000 friends, you're at a surface. It's just not possible to stretch yourself that thin. And I think the meaning is in the depth, right? That's what I hear you saying.
Absolutely.
The meaning and the impact is in the depth. I want to say, so I was looking at your profile and I see that you have 40,000 followers on X, right?
Yeah.
So what about that? Like, is that something that you sought after as you were looking to create meaning that people actually flock to you and connect?
Yeah. So the Twitter is an interesting platform, as you know, right? When Twitter was Twitter, I was actually publishing a column or 2 columns every week, and I would post them. And that actually grew the following. And then I kind of went into hiatus during the pandemic and post-pandemic because I got very involved in my public sector work. I do a lot of work in our federal government, and I kind of went away from media. And then post-pandemic, I published a couple of more books. But I don't really push out a lot of content on social media. And these days, most of my interaction is LinkedIn because my content is for professionals. It's related to business innovation or leadership or transformation or AI, that sort of a topic. Most of my content is on LinkedIn, and I've got not as many as X, but I've got like 15,000 people that follow it. But I only post one post a day, right? That's all I post. And it's not I'm asking something, it's not I'm constantly on social media. But whenever I do take the time to craft that post that gives something whoever is reading. I'm not asking anything from my post. I'm just trying to share what I have learned as a point of making it something meaningful for the reader, right? When you look at it from that point of view, I think it has more meaning because people finds it valuable, right? So it wasn't with a goal that I want X number of following, therefore I'm going to do X number of things. It's totally organic. I think that's the best way to build relationship in any context.
Absolutely. And I guess that's the point that I was trying to make for people is that when you're true to creating that depth and that meaning, you will naturally create followers because people will want to capture into that depth. Right?
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean that you're close friends with 40,000 people, right? It just means that you're putting your content out there.
I don't think I can claim that I have 40 closest friend either. Let alone 40,000, right? So, that's most people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I like to, in celebration of my new book that's coming out in September, I like to ask, even though you don't know what this is exactly, but how would you define a reset mindset And from your lenses, why is that valuable?
Look, I think, even though I haven't read your book, or this notion of the conscious pause, or notion of reconnecting or reinvention and connecting the dot, mindfulness, meditation, these are various terms for reset, which I live by it. I write about it. And my message to everybody is that, look, my personal goal with whatever I do is that I want to lift others through my work, but I can't lift others if I can't lift myself first. Hence, I published a book called Lift. And if you want to lift yourself, then you have to kind of connect with yourself. And only way you can connect with yourself if you take time for yourself. Reset to me is about connecting with yourself. You have to figure out who you are, and you have to figure out what value that you want to bring to the world by leveraging who you are and the unique value that you can bring to the table, right? And I'm a firm believer that each one of us have a unique value proposition. That's why we're unique, right? And then collectively, that uniqueness creates the world that we call our world. It is very important to take that pause, reset, whatever you want to call it, connecting with yourself so that you can bring out that value, and which is bringing out your value has a value to yourself, but that has a value to the world as well, right? Because we all learn from each other, or we should be learning from each other if we wanted to get ahead and meaningful impact of the globe.
Absolutely. What didn't I ask you yet before we shut down that you would have liked me to ask and you would like to share?
I don't know. There's so many topics we can talk about, but you can ask me why I write and what got me into more writing. You can ask me that. My answer would be that, when I started first writing 20 years ago, that was for professional reason, because I'm a tech entrepreneur. So I don't make a living from selling books or speaking or that sort of thing. I sell technology, build technology and sell technology. That's been my profession. It started out that I wanted to increase my profile and thought leadership through writing. These days I write because I want to share my knowledge, but also all the proceeds from my book goes to cancer research because my son is a cancer survivor. It goes back to the impact, which we started talking about. Your goals and who you are changes over time. The meaning and the impact that you're trying to create, that's where you want to spend the time. And once you get clearly focused on that, that's when you find the time. Whatever you want to do, that's how you find time. You will always have time. It depends on what you want to do.
That's so true. What I like to tell people is, listen, if I got you 2 backstage passes to your favorite artist, you'd find a way to get there. Sure, you don't have time, but you would.
Yes, of course.
Hell or high water to get to that concert, and you say no to people, you'd move it, you do what you needed to do. And sometimes we forget that it's really about setting priorities and being clear on what's important. And we're clearer on the extremes. Like I said, if it's something like that, or God forbid something happened and you needed to be for a family member, you'd leave in a second, where you needed to be. It's that messy middle that we just don't set any criteria to create clarity for ourselves or as to what really is a priority. So then we get lost in these competing priorities. And I say that in quotes because it doesn't really exist. It just means we don't have priorities.
You have to be devoted to what's important to you, what gives you meaning, and you have to detach yourself from the noise. Easier said, but a lot harder to do in a practice, right?
Yes. Tell us where we can get more information about you and your books and your...
I guess you can go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and find my book. As I said, I post something on LinkedIn every day. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to subscribe to anything. It's purely knowledge sharing. So you can follow me on LinkedIn. I guess that's about it.
Great. And we'll have all your links on the show notes as well.
Sure.
So
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. I wish you best of luck with your book. If I can do anything, let me know.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we'll talk about that after the show. And thank you all for being here. Less is more. Slow down, get clarity on what's most important. And you heard some valuable nuggets, right? Go deep into those things that are important to you and make the time for it, right? Block it out and have time for those things that are important, and also block out the times that are blackout times, are those pauses, those conscious pauses. Take those reset moments, make them part of your daily practice, and you'll see that you'll actually be taking back your time. You'll be more creative, you'll be more productive, and you get more of the right things done when you do just that. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.